Hello there! Welcome to another video. In this video we will look at the game by Bobby Fischer. He's right there on the painting. Former world champion Bobby Fischer, who during the last years of his life lived in Iceland, where he had his greatest triumph, becoming the world champion in 1972 in the match, which was played, well, a walking distance from where I'm right now. So I thought it would be fitting to, 9th of March was his birthday, so I thought it would be fitting to look at one of his games, maybe a lesser known game. I didn't want to look at like the game of the century and stuff that's been done over and over. So I found a little game that features a very, very nice finish of the combination. So let's have a look. Bobby with the black pieces. This was played at an Olympiad, and his opponent was Rene Letelier Martner from Chile. And maybe he became, well, I'm gonna hold on the Chile jokes. D4, knight f6. Bobby loved to play either the King's Indian or the Grunfeld. The Grunfeld is pawn to d5, King's Indian, bishop to g7. In this game we see bishop to g7. E4, and here Bobby castles. Black has a choice. He can play d6 also. That's more common these days. But many people go castles because they want white to play e5. It looks like a good move, and might be. The knight has to go back, but black argues that we will fight back immediately in the center and break down white's imposing center here. But white tries to fortify it, plays f4, and Bobby attacks it, d6. The bishop comes out to e3, and Bobby strikes again, c5. He wants to break down the center, and he's willing to invest maybe one, maybe two pawns to break it down. White accepts. He takes on c5, but note that the pawn is pinned now because of the knight on e8. The queen is undefended on d8, so we can't take either pawn, either on e5 or c5. But black develops, knight c6. So black is counting on getting rapid development and making white pay for having the king in the center. Well, white continued his material gaining strategy, took on d6. Bobby took back. We kind of have to do that because otherwise white will take this. We have to take, and white will bring out the pieces. Maybe we can break with f6, but take on d6. Still, we don't want to trade, so the pawn is kind of pinned. And knight e4 was played by white, putting more pressure on d6. But after bishop f5, white didn't want to take on d6. Maybe he can, but he played knight g3. If he were to take the pawn, maybe we take, queen takes. And I guess a move like this is tempting, just to bring the rook here, then we break. We have all our pieces out, active pieces. This will open up when we play f6. The king is in the center. Black should be doing well. So Martner kept it more closed here with knight g3. Bishop back to e6. And now white gets some pieces out, knight to f3. And Bobby unpins the pawn. He plays queen g7, so now he's threatening to take here. Also, white doesn't really want to take on d6, because then we let another piece out. And once the knight is out, the e-file will be open as well, and the king will start to feel the heat. But white played a very peculiar move here. He played queen to b1. So the idea is actually to control this diagonal and to play f5. And he didn't want to put the queen on c2, which is more natural because it could be hit by a knight on b4 or something else. So Bobby took on e5, of course, and white played f5. So that's the idea of playing queen b1, play f5. But note that white is still lagging a bit in development. And actually, maybe Bobby should have taken on f5. Take twice and play knight d6. Something like this, I guess. Takes. And now we bring the knight into the game with tempo. And then, depending on what white does, probably we're going to go f5. And the center looks very imposing here. We might be able to push next move. This will hang. And the king is still stuck. So this could have been an option, but Bobby went for e4. Trying to open things up completely. e4. White took an e6, and Bobby took the knight. White took the pawn, And now Bobby, instead of taking on e6, which might be a viable move, he wants to take with a piece on e6 and keep the e-file open. This f5 move also threatens to fork 2 pieces, the knight and the bishop. So white plays f4. Now the knight comes into the game. And note that we have 2 weaknesses created here, 2 weak squares that black can use. Bishop to e2, trying to shore up those squares. At the moment, white is doing that job. But now the rook comes, rook f2, e8. And white elects not to castle because he's worried about the e-file. Black is going to take this pawn. And then we have pieces on the e-file. So white prefers to keep the king, protecting those pieces. King to f2. Rook takes on e6. Rook to e1. And rook a to e8, threatening the bishop on e3. And white went for bishop f3. It looks like everything is protected. Material is equal, but clearly black is better. But I don't think white thought he would have to basically resign after 3 moves by black. So what did Bobby Fischer play here? And more importantly, what was the follow-up? So try to find what Bobby played here. Pause the video if you have to, then come back. Assuming you came back. And the move that Bobby played here was rook takes on e3. What's the idea? I mean, white took, takes. And it is true that the king is vulnerable. We might be able to give a check here and then hope to bring the pieces in. And probably that's still very, very good and very tempting for white. But after black's next move, white actually resigned. So again, can you find what Bobby played that made his opponent resign? Absolutely stunning move, actually. He sacrificed his queen for a pawn. Queen takes f4. Well, not really sacrificed it because white can't take it. And white resigned. If he takes the pawn, bishop to h6. And what is this? It's a wonderful checkmate, isn't it? The knight is covering this, so this diagonal, finishes the job. Very nicely done indeed. And, well, if the king tries to run, we will bring the knights in. I think the most resistance would have been something like king f2. We bring the knight in. We give another check. We have to keep an eye on the bishop. So king f2 again, but now the other knight comes in. Now there's no queen d1 to protect, so maybe queen h1. But now we can go back to g4, and now the king can't keep an eye on this with the queen, so we win more material, and we have a completely winning attack as well. So a pretty nice game by Bobby, which I hope you enjoyed. We always enjoy such moves like queen takes f4. I mean, who doesn't? You know, that the geometry of what happened in the game is such that we can give up the queen for only 1 pawn, just to open up that diagonal and make the king worse. That's the beauty of chess, and nobody knew beauty as well as Bobby Fischer. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye bye.